Family of Queen Mother who met her untimely death through gunshots cites medical negligence, partly for the tragic event.
Violent clash between students of Boku Senior High School and Boku Technical Institute leaves 5 students injured.
President John Dramani Mahama says he will not pressure the central bank to print more money to finance government expenditure.
Business news: newly sworn-in Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama reveals plans to introduce new foreign exchange law to strengthen banking sector.
And also on the foreign front, the United States sides with Russia and votes at the United Nations to mark the 3rd anniversary of the Russia invasion of Ukraine. We've got details of all these stories, plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
In our very first story, the family of Laurentia Nabole Nelson, who met her untimely death through gunshots in a ceremony to install her husband and her as chief and queen, has cited medical negligence partly for the tragic event. Members of the family are seeking justice and pleading with law enforcement to release her body for her burial in accordance with Islamic tradition. A report by Sarah Apeko.
A distraught husband and a broken family. These are the words that describe the family of the late Laurentia Nabole Nelson Nagamu. What was supposed to be the celebration of their installment has become the worst day of their lives as a family. Nagamu was shot in the thigh by a musketry. The family suspects foul play.
We are seeking justice. We are seeking justice. Once one catching police will na me catching one more catching amomo. One chat one more camole.
We heard the suspect has been arrested, but we as a family haven't seen him. We need to see him and ask him why he did that.
Her brother, Raphael, is certain his sister would have been alive after the shooting incident if not for medical negligence.
Obati Christian medical. They didn't attend to us. Like I'm a fair attempt to park a first aid no koni enye say napu. They just told us okay we should take her to Lekma. Oba she Lekma ho enu oba jail echoni emi nke emergency ward den ho. I make a transfer like a rate without any medical, any first aid, nothing.
We first went to Christian Medical Center. They didn't even offer first aid. Then we went to Lekma Emergency. They also said we should take her to Ridge, where she eventually died. She bled a lot. All those hospitals failed us.
It's so hurtful. We should just question these hospitals. People can assist the ambulances because I don't see the use of the hospital.
Nongwazongo is where she resides with her husband and 5-year-old child. Her in-laws are equally stunned with the turn of events.
All of a sudden she was shot. We don't even know how it all happened. We are not happy and we want justice.
Shocked residents had but only fond memories of her as a gentle and quiet individual.
I demand about money to school. Till on my wife cry, more Casam, so never Casa, you'll be a Penwas and who saw new beach and holding come.
She buys fruit from my wife every morning. She is a very calm, nice person who doesn't even have friends. She doesn't like trouble, so I don't even know what to think about the whole thing.
The Gandangbe Muslim Council, organizers of the ceremony, least expected this outcome. They want the body of the deceased released for burial.
We as Muslims, our body doesn't stay long in fridge, but because of the circumstances, we are pleading with all authorities that matter too.
The suspect is to appear before court on Wednesday, February 26.
The use of musketry at some traditional functions within the country has become of major concern in recent times. Perhaps Madame Laurentia would have been alive if society has had a relook at some of these harmful practices. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Nungwa Zongo, Accra.
Let's now go to the Upper East region, and a violent clash between students of Boku Senior High School and Boku Technical Institute has left some students injured. The incident happened during a ceremony organized by traditional and school authorities to end recurring clashes between the two schools. With just 2 months into 2025, there have been common incidents of senior high school students involving themselves in physical fights, sparking growing concerns. Let me now take you through some unruly behaviors among senior high school students this year alone, 2025. So, beginning in the Greater Accra region, there's been 2 incidents. One at Accra Academy Senior High School. We saw a video this year which showed a student wielding a cutlass flogging 2 of his junior colleagues, and 4 students were subsequently taken to court and charged with assault. Also in the Greater Accra region, there was an incident involving Accra High School and Kimbu Senior High School. We also saw a video which went viral, captured students aggressively pursuing their counterparts from Kimbu Senior High School. Then in the Savannah region, there was a brawl involving students of the Salaga Senior High School. It led to 20 of the students being arrested. 1 of them sustained injuries, and then 3 of them were fined 1,200 cedis for unlawful possession of firearms, and they were jailed for 6 months. In the Volta region over the weekend, we saw clashes between students of Sokode Senior High Technical School as well as the youth of Sokode Bogame, which resulted in injuries on both sides, and subsequently the school was shut down. In the Ashanti region, there was also an incident involving students which led to some properties being damaged and 1 person being injured. In the Islamic Senior High School, there was a clash between students and local youth in the community, and it happened near the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. It led to them throwing stones, leading to injuries as well as damage to vehicles. Then just today, Boku Senior High School and Boku Technical Institute, and there was a peace ceremony intended to reconcile students. It rather turned violent, and at least 5 students have sustained severe injuries due to this incident. Let's now speak to the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Mr. Thomas Tanko Musa. Thank you so much for your time. About 7 acts of indiscipline, just 2 months in 2025. What could be the root cause of these happenings in our senior high schools?
Thank you, my sister. Good evening to yourself and to all your viewers. We started talking about this not today. You see, and the earlier we find a lasting solution, particularly the duty bearers, that together we find a lasting solution to this particular problem, the better for all of us. I have said, making reference specifically, before I come to the substantive issue, I have made reference to the University of Ghana, which our fathers built for us. The motto there is, Integri Procedamus. The Integri Procedamus is that it has to do with integrity. Now take note, the value of the University of Ghana is integrity, not knowledge. in as much as that they are giving students knowledge, giving them all the things that they need to go out to the outside world there, the key value that the University of Ghana is noted for is integrity, out of which they have their motto, Integri Procedamus. Today, we have lost it because the aspect of the integrity is character and conscience. At our basic schools today, the issue of conscience and character is lost. We don't talk about conscience again, we don't talk about character again. And what is happening in our communities is that people have adopted violence as a way of resolving issues. Can you imagine that today at Boko, when students have met to talk about peace, they rather went to use violence as a way of discussing peace issues? Believable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And this thing should, I mean, the whole nation should actually rise up and let us all find solution to this particular menace that is gradually catching up on us.
All right.
Because as a nation, let us remember, the national pledge is, I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. That is the integrity, that is the affective aspect of the individuals we are training. And we have lost it. And I repeat, we have lost it.
Now you're saying we have lost it. You're saying we've lost it. In 2017, corporal punishment was banned. Then came the positive discipline toolkit. Would you say there's a need to review this toolkit?
You see, when we are talking about discipline, discipline is not an individual affair. You need to get the teachers involved, get the parents involved, get the policymakers involved. Let the child understand that all the stakeholders that are training them to become our future leaders, they are united. Today, we are not united. The parents know, the students know that, look, when there is an issue at school and they go to report, their parents will come and defend them and beat up the teacher. Have you seen what happened at Soko there? Today, the students are now going to fight the community. In Boko, instead of them sitting to talk about peace, now the students are fighting. This should be a wake-up call. So the way out now for us is that the duty bearers, the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service should really take this matter seriously. I am happy that the PTA has been brought back. Let the PTA sit down, because the children that we are bringing up, they are for all of us. If one person becomes a teacher today, the whole community will benefit. If one person becomes a doctor today, all of us will benefit. Therefore, the training of the child cannot be the responsibility of the child, parents, or the ministry alone. Together, we have to get it done.
What would be Nat's suggestion when it comes to disciplining students then?
Yes. We have what we call socialization of the child. The socialization tells you where the child derives this kind of learning things from. They derive from the media, they derive it from the home, they derive it from the school, they derive it from the church or other religious places. So the way we socialize these children will determine whether our value system, as I've indicated earlier, which the University of Ghana has really made it clear, Integri Procedamus, so whether we'll be able to continue with this particular thing. It depends on all the socialization outlet I have mentioned to you. And together we must get it done. Because I am really surprised that the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education, they are silent on this particular matter. And the earlier they actually come out strongly, then together we find solution to this particular menace, the better for all of us. Earlier on, I indicated, soon we'll be deploying the military people into our schools. Soko there, it happened. It happened at Soko there, and that should tell us that the way things are going, if care is not taken, look, all of us will get up one day and we'll all regret that we sat back and watched all these things happen. The time to act is now.
Thank you so much for your time. I've been speaking with the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musatanku.
The minority in Parliament have accused the Minister for Communications, Samuel Nate George, of acting in excess of his powers. This follows an order by the Minister for the closure of 7 radio stations across the country. The minority are calling for the Minister to appear before the House to provide explanation. My colleague Judith Brown reports.
The latest directive by the Minister for Communications, Samuel Nate George, has been met with stark reactions. For the minority in Parliament, the Minister is simply usurping the National Communication Authorities Act, which they say does not allow him such powers.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister is committing an economic sabotage that businesses set up by Ghanaians to undertake communication business. Mr. Speaker, he is saying that should be closed down. And it's very important that we look at the fact that the minister, when he was sworn into office in less than a month, is yet to create any job for the people of this country apart from jobs that he's revoking, especially because the infraction is against an act which was passed by this House. The minister is usurping it. The attention of this House has been drawn to the fact that the minister's power under the National Communications Authority is only limited to policy.
What the minister is doing is to probably later on request that every promotion that will take place at NCA must be brought to the minister for him to authorize before. Even staff salaries would have to be sent to the minister for him to pay. Mr. Speaker, it looks like we have an Idi Amin in the making.
Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre has called on the minister to appear before Parliament with an explanation.
The minister must come to this House. He was approved by this House. He was given the mandate by this House. He must come and report to this House. We need to hear from him where he's getting those powers to direct the NCA to take such draconian actions. And I hear people say, during your time, you closed down Radio Gold. These are baseless defense. I hear people say, you closed down radio stations, you closed down Radio Gold. Even if it is the case, must we repeat the mistakes? We mustn't do that. We must move ahead as a nation in the context of your resetting. You said you were going to reset Ghana.
But for Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga, the minister was simply carrying out his duties.
I'm surprised that you will make the minister the subject of castigation, of unnecessary attacks, trying to question his competence, when all the minister is saying in this communication is that Director General enforce the law, because these stations are operating without frequency authorization. How is that an offense? How is that a matter for which the minister should be summoned to this House to come and answer? Are you trying to intimidate ministers and prevent them from doing their jobs? Is that what you're trying to do? The minister will shut down the stations today. Tomorrow he will shut them down. Tomorrow next he will shut them down. If they want, they should go for authorization. He will shut them down.
For now, it is yet to be seen whether the Minister for Communications will appear before the House to provide an explanation. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Still in Parliament, Deputy Education Minister nominee Dr. Clement Apak says government will tackle challenges in the implementation of the free senior high school policy to enhance quality. Despite commending the policy's intent, he noted that persistent struggles in the rollout have affected its effectiveness. At his vetting, the Bosa South legislator hinted that new plans are being introduced to improve the policy.
Free senior high school program policy is a good policy. The challenge that we find with it, for which we have spoken about improving and sustaining it, in other words, reviewing it, is to do with the implementation. And in my response, I listed three. One was the issue of accommodation, which of course gave birth to the double track system. The second was in the area of feeding, where we have complaints about inadequate food and sometimes students being fed food made of the same staple, sometimes for a week. And then I also spoke about the sometimes erratic calendar, where you expect the students to be in school for a given period of time, and halfway they come home. So I listed these as some of the reasons why we think we need to take another look at the policy implementation so that we can address them to maximize the benefit that we are already driving from the program. I'm grateful.
A reminder, you're still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has given the strongest indication of his commitment to fiscal discipline to avoid compelling the central bank to print money to finance government expenditure. Now, speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the Governor of the Bank of Ghana and the First Deputy, he cautioned the bank against any act that runs contrary to good governance and unregulated central banking.
He returned to the central bank in what some have described as controversial. For over 4 years, the Attorney General in the Eswal administration dragged him before the courts over his involvement in the banking sector cleanup, leading to their collapse. Subsequently, he was cleared upon the assumption of the current administration. The president in administering the 3 owed to Johnson Isiama and his first deputy, Dr. Zakaria Mumuni, was swift in his notice to the central bank.
As president, I'm committed to ensuring that the central bank operates free from political interference, guided solely by its mandate. This is the path to building a resilient economy, one where policies are driven by discipline, foresight, and the best interests of the Ghanaian people. One thing for sure, I'm not going to come and ask you to print more money.
On the banking sector cleanup, President John Mahama expressed discontent at the decision that lacked human face.
The Bank of Ghana had the opportunity to salvage some of these institutions to protect people's livelihoods while ensuring stability, but instead, an approach that ignored human consequences was what was made.
The president expressed hope and confidence in the Johnson Isiama-led administration.
Ghana's financial sector is in crisis, and the task ahead demands experience, foresight, and decisive leadership. With Dr. Isiama heading the Bank of Ghana, I am confident that we will rebuild trust in the institution, will restore stability, and put our economy back on a path of sustained growth.
The BOG boss says his administration will do good to all manner of persons in the discharge of the mandate of the central bank.
Through responsible financial sector governance, digital transformation, and sound economic policies, we will create an economic and financial system that is transparent, that is predictable, and that is stable.
All right, so you heard the Governor of the Bank of Ghana laying out some strategic goals and policies that he hopes to implement to turn around the fortunes of the central bank. And he calls it the Governor's 6-point master plan for economic stability, which includes utilizing advanced data analytics and AI to improve inflation control and policy coordination. He talks about stabilizing the exchange rate by implementing new forex laws, leveraging gold reserves, and strengthening the foreign asset management. Also, he talks about strengthening the financial sector by reducing non-performing loans, enforcing regulations, and improving risk management. There's also the talk about boosting financial inclusion by expanding digital services and establishing a clear framework for fintech and digital assets. He also talks about enhancing fiscal and monetary policy coordination whilst maintaining the central bank's independence. And that was a key point that the president also talked about, maintaining the central bank's independence. And then very finally, he also talked about restoring the Bank of Ghana's financial position through cost-cutting measures, austerity measures, and policies to reverse the bank's negative equity.
In more news tonight, the High Court in Accra has officially discharged former Ministers of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Collins Dauda and Kweku Ajaman Mensah over the $200 million affordable housing case. The Attorney General had earlier dropped charges of causing financial loss to the state against the 2 former ministers and 2 others, Alhaji Zablim Yakubu and Tete Angelo. Lord Asare reports.
At the last adjourned date on February 4, the prosecution led by Principal State Attorney Hilda Craig prayed for more time, citing instructions from the Attorney General to put the house in order. But on Friday, February 7, the Attorney General found the prosecutor to discontinue the case against the former Works and Housing Minister, Alhaji Collins Dauda, and 3 others. The 4th accused, Albert Klukanau, passed away along the trial. When the case was called on Tuesday, February 25, Hilda Craig officially informed the presiding judge, Justice Ernest Owusu-Dapah, of the AG's decision. Counsel for the accused persons, led by Gideon Abuchi, holding brief for Gordon Eduji Temeklu, did not object to the decision and commended the state for dropping the charges. Justice Owusu-Dapah struck out the charges and discharged the accused persons accordingly. Lawyers for the accused persons spoke to the media.
This comes as a relief, a huge relief to our clients, whom we've always taken the view that there's really no case against them. That, as you know, it was a decision by the state in the first place. So if the state in its wisdom again finds that it is not worth continuing and have discontinued, we are thankful to them all the same.
We have always believed in the innocence of our clients. We have always believed in the case we have decided to defend. So if the Attorney General's department has come to this realization and has filed for nolle prosequi, we can only be grateful to the Office of Attorney General. I'm not grateful to the courts.
I'm grateful to Allah.
The Minister of Transport, Joseph Boukari Nikbe, has promised active collaboration between the government and the Ghana Maritime Authority to ensure that Ghana's seawaters remain the safest for all ship owners and operators. He made this known during a working visit to the Ghana Maritime Authority.
Speaking during a media engagement, the minister said the ministry, together with GMA, will be working to make sure that employment opportunities are explored within the marine sector.
If there's any opportunity to create jobs, it is through the marine waters or the marine subsector, which the Ghana Maritime Authority plays a crucial role to it. Our seafarers will need to be trained to take advantage of it. All the handlers, the operators, the technical and administrative staff, thank God that we have the Regional Maritime University that is here. We are going to ensure that we increase allocations to the university to be able to train more of our youth.
On the congestion of roads, the MP for Saboba indicated that the ministry will be working with other sectors on new alternatives to alleviate the situation.
Look at the coasts. We have from Keta right down to Azim. If we are able to develop the sea craft, the transport on the sea, and we are able to do some landing sites where those ships that will be fast will convey passengers and land at where the passengers or the users will want to end, it will go a long way to ease congestion on our street. When this legislation is done, for instance, the trotro, where should they terminate at? Do we allow them in the inner cities? If we are able to bring in buses, they are the same transport operators that we are going to maybe either lease the buses or sell the buses to, and they will be the ones in charge of running the services within the inner city. At least if a bus will take 80 to 100 passengers, a trotro will take 15. So when you are able to get the trotters to operate at the peripheries or the ends of the cities and bring in bigger buses with the rail system, we'll be able to solve the congestion on our roads.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamal Dean Ali, also emphasized on plans to check congestion at the port as they explore employment opportunities for young people.
We are responsible for regulating certain activities on the ship. And when the ship comes into port, it comes with those regulatory requirements, inspections, port state control, many other things. So for us to ensure efficiency, we are going to make sure that we do those things timely and effectively.
Now, school children and parents in CK Copper, an island community in the Biakoya district of the Oti region, are now relieved following the commissioning of a 6-unit classroom block in the community. The project, which was funded by Star Oil Company Limited, is aimed at curbing the dangers associated with school children crossing the Volta Lake on a canoe to access education. A report by Faisal Abdul Idrisu.
For many years, school children from CK Copper, a fishing community in the Biakoya district of the Oti region, have been exposed to the dangers of traveling over the Volta Lake to Tapa Abotoase, where they attend school, since there was no school in the community. Children who could not risk traveling across the river were stuck at home, a situation that caught the attention of the management of Star Oil, who moved into the community to start a school some 2 years ago. The company subsequently built a modern 6-unit classroom block at a cost of close to 2 million Ghana cedis to accommodate the growing number of pupils.
No child should ever have to risk their lives in pursuit of knowledge. That is why Star Oil took upon itself to build these schools, so that children of CK Copper can learn in safety right here in their own community.
The classrooms are fitted with white marker boards, adequate classroom furniture, and other ancillary facilities.
Go a long way to help our children and improve on learning outcome. We'll have all our children in school, and it is going to boost education outcome.
All parents here to motivate their children, encourage their children to come to the school. Honestly, I'll be a part of management here. We know Ghana Education Service. My elder brother, Dr. Kaladi, built up a beautiful school in Blanzado. When you go now, the windows are flying apart, the doors are flying apart, everybody, the chairs are flying apart. So this particular building, Star will be a co-managers of this school.
The Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Emilia Atta, who commissioned the facility, lauded the initiative by Star Oil and urged others to emulate same.
Everybody is still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. We're going to go for a quick break. We've got more stories coming up.
a good thing for us, and I'm excited to see what it can do for our team and individual as well. So it's been a really great step for us to go. Yeah.
So far, so good. It's only been a few days, and everything is going well. He's trying his best to teach us the way he wants us to play. And the good thing is we're having fun, we're listening, and we are learning new stuff. And the technical team, everyone has been helpful. So I feel like everything is on the right course.
Let's do some European football, where Mohamed Salah continues to flatter with his stunning performances for Liverpool this season, defying logic, myths and breaking boundaries. With 51 goal contributions, the Egyptian is scaling unprecedented heights. My colleague Andrew Yusuf Abanfo has more.
Mohamed Salah's brilliance has taken a new dimension so much that there's a genuine conversation about him being a Ballon d'Or winner. That conversation triggered the callous claim from Jamie Carragher about the status of the African Cup of Nations. The status of the Nation Cup is not even up for debate, neither has been Salah's form. He has 25 goals and 16 assists in the Premier League this season, helping him climb up the all-time Premier League goal scorer chart into the top 6. He could finish the season in the top 5 with his 182 goals, just too shy of Sergio Aguero in 5th. His 7-goal involvement guided Liverpool to a first-place finish in the Champions League phase. Salah's combined 51-goal involvement is the highest among all players in Europe's top 5 league, placing him as a front-runner for the Ballon d'Or. It will be a seminal moment for the African football if it does. Besides George Weah, who won the Ballon d'Or in 1995, Sadio Mane's second-place finish in 2022 is the closest any African has come to winning the award. Salah's best finish came in that same year when he finished 5th. With the way he's playing, Ballon d'Or may be coming for the Egyptian king.
In order to win the Ballon d'Or, Mohamed Salah would definitely need to win the Premier League, and Liverpool are inching ever closer. They play yet another game this midweek, however, it's not today. Let's take a look at the fixtures that would be played later tonight. Chelsea versus Southampton is the late kickoff at 8 p.m. However, the 3 preceding games have already started. Brighton leading Bournemouth by 1-0, courtesy a João Pedro penalty. There's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, and 1-1 already between Wolves and Fulham, as João Neves has levelled for the hosts. You can get updates of these games on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, AI Media and Lemon Tree Film are preparing to captivate movie enthusiasts with their latest cinematic venture, Omogana, Man for Chop. The film delves into the intense events of 1983 when more than 1 million Ghanaians were forcibly expelled from Nigeria.
President Shehu Shagari of Nigeria has ordered for the deportation of undocumented migrants.
Most of the people to be affected are West Africans.
As migration continues to reshape global cultures, Omogana revisits a pivotal moment in history, the mass expulsion of over 1 million Ghanaians from Nigeria in 1983. Through intimate and evocative narration, the film uncovers heart-wrenching personal stories of families torn apart while highlighting the lasting emotional scars left by the forced expulsions. Migration, an age-old phenomenon, remains ever present in modern times, with each journey shaped by unique motivations and challenges.
Even today, if you can make it happen.
I can see you ready, nigga. Well, it's gonna cost you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus 10, 20 grand. I'll make it happen.
Ahead of its premiere, AI Media and its partners hosted an exclusive screening for industry professionals and academics to evaluate this iconic project.
1969, we also did the same thing, and in 1983, it seemed Nigeria retaliated. That's one. But there were angles to the film that explain migration as a natural human phenomenon, that human beings migrate. The film should be shown in our educational institutions and elsewhere for Ghanaians to get to have a new thinking about migration.
We must learn to enjoy what we're capable of doing and do it well. For me, this film brings out a whole host of issues around it, because ultimately it's about looking for survival, becoming all right, being successful, getting to live your life. It's all about economics and society, ultimately. So there are too many things going on in there, and it's a very good documentary.
Kwame Boedi is the director of the film.
42 years down the line, nothing has changed. These days they say for Jakpa. We are still looking to go out by any means necessary, on the high seas, to die, in the desert, to perish, to be fleeced by so-called visa contractors and so on. So the question is to Jakpa or not to Jakpa. So maybe we should look around and water our grass better. But for some people to maybe travel is good. So we've got to research. We've got to be smart, even if we must travel.
The much anticipated film, featuring outstanding Ghanaian actors, is set to premiere this Friday at the Silverbird Cinemas, Accra Mall.
Where are you coming from? Nationality!
Oh, Ghana.
Omo Ghana.
Let's now take some sport of international news.
A South African court has dismissed claims of a white genocide in the country as clearly imagined and not real, undermining claims made by US President Donald Trump and his advisor Elon Musk. The ruling came as the court blocked a wealthy benefactor's donation to white supremacist group Boer Religion. Grantland Michael Bray wanted to bequeath $2.1 million to the group to help it further its messages of racial hatred and separation, but the court ruled this request was invalid, vague, and contrary to public policy. Trump has referred to the large-scale killing of farmers in South Africa, while Musk has condemned what he said were racist ownership laws and previously condemned the genocide of white people. Despite vowing to crack down on immigration, Trump has said that white South African farmers would be allowed to settle in the US as refugees because of the persecution he said they faced. The US has twice sided with Russia in votes at the United Nations to mark the third anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, highlighting the Trump administration's change of stance on the war. First, the US opposed a European drafted resolution condemning Moscow's actions and supporting Ukraine's territorial integrity, voting the same way as Russia and countries including North Korea and Belarus at the UN General Assembly in New York. Then, the US drafted and voted for a resolution at the UN Security Council which called for an end to the conflict but contained no criticism of Russia. The Security Council passed the resolution, but two key US allies, the UK and France, abstained after their attempts to amend the wording were vetoed. The UN resolutions were tabled as French President Emmanuel Macron visited President Donald Trump at the White House in an attempt to address their sharp differences over the war.
Well, that's how we conclude News 360 here on TV3. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.
The winner for Perfect Match Extra Season 2 is Martin and Tessie!
You thought you've seen it all, but guess what? The game of love is just getting started. More drama, more passion,